But I want to go back to Oreo because that was on the list of questions. I kind of abandoned the list of questions just listening to you. Is that is a huge thing for, again, the Black experience in Saginaw, especially for us. Personally, I never questioned my Blackness at all. And I was always taken back if someone ever did. Like, what else am I going to be? Like, I don't understand. Like Oreo. And I was like, huh? It was more like that. Like, okay, what? I'm going to, like, again, these white girls aren't going to date me. Like, I can't be an Oreo. Like, I don't even know how that even is possible. And I look back at, like as a literature major, I look at the character of Carlton. It's like, okay, did we fit that archetype? And I would say personally, for me, no, and I think for you, not. But maybe you did. What do you think about reflecting on the Oreo archetype?
Yeah, I
Your
think in that,
Blackness.
right. Yeah, I similar to you, is like I am who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I was able to reject some of that of, if sounding white is wrong, um I don't I see value in, being able to be intelligent, and so I think again in high school there were cliques obviously, but for us, like, I sang in the choir, I was a jock, I got good grades, like the cool kids, maybe they were preppy, but or whatever, but it was okay to get good grades. And so that was part of the cool clique, so to speak. And so it was really less about, at least in my circle, of what you did. Like the band was a little weird to me. Um
They
and
were
there's that
always
that
separated a
stereotype.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were really good. Like at
Yeah,
least
they're really good.
like and um it just, I didn't really hang out with band kids, but they were good at what they did. I was like, if they're good at it, then let them do what they enjoy. And so the football team was not good at that time, so it's more traditional Jack. Like, you know, I don't know if they were being ones that might be one to bully or pick on people. I'm like, I don't know if they had a spot to do that. Now, to keep in mind, I played soccer, and so soccer and football players, we did not get along, and we were a better performance on the field at that time. We had a lot of pressure in soccer too, because the team, either the 2 years before I made varsity, went all the way to the state. I think the state finals, lost
This
to
was Tom and
Livonia.
Agnes, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
think they lost to Livonia Stevenson and I think in the final. And
I
so,
think so too.
um,
Yeah, I
yep.
even thought
And
they
then they
won,
made
but maybe they didn't. Yeah.
no, they didn't. They didn't. I don't believe they won, but
Okay. Yeah.
so, but it's the same coach. We had a lot of pressure, and then our in-town rival was Arthur Hill, and I still remember our coach saying, "Look, this team has never lost to Arthur Hill, and I don't want you guys to be the first one to do it." And I remember we tied, but I don't know if we, but it was neat. It was neat in that, as you were doing travel soccer, and I didn't have a travel team at my age group. I didn't realize till much older that I could have
Wow.
tried out. I could have tried out for the team older than me,
Okay.
um, but I didn't have a travel team at my age group. There was one below me and there was one above me. But
Mm.
but as you were coming up, remember the Storm? You guys were really good, and you had city kids and township kids, and I thought
That
that
was the
was.
Rage. Yeah, Storm was Township, and
Oh,
then
Rage,
Rage was
sorry,
really got good.
Rage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You guys
Storm
were
was
like
okay though.
really.
Rage was
Yeah,
great though.
but
Yeah.
Rage was really good. Yeah, and so it was
hmm
neat to see some of that of as you guys are coming up, as Arthur Hill's program was getting better, and then
hmm
I remember, oh man, is it Lively, a little blonde kid?
Yeah. Yep. Dave Lively. Yep.
Yeah, and so yeah, I
He's out
remember
by.
you
He
and
was out
him.
by you. Out in Kazoo College or even Western Michigan. He was out
Oh,
there, I
really?
believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't kept up with him, but yeah, I
Okay.
remember.
Yeah.
But I remember some of that. That was some good soccer, and so. But yeah, sorry, I got a little off track. But yeah, yeah, that,
Where does this
yeah,
come from? This is what I want to know from your perspective. Is like, why are we like this? Like, for example, the way you talked about the band, that was exactly how I was with people who are like outcasts. It's like, what? Why are they outcasts? I don't understand. I don't
Right.
think our parents instilled that in us. But I guess there's a little fear to like pick on someone. I think we'd probably get in trouble if we were just like making fun of random kids or being bullies or stuff like that. But I never felt like we were taught that. Why are we? Many teachers attest like we had the similar personality of very open and welcoming. Where does that come from? You think, from your perspective?
Yeah, I think for me is I just it was again I enjoyed it, like my time in high school and whatnot, but I just wanted to see us all succeed, like kind
Yeah.
of like
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of town pride, like let's put Saginaw on the map kind of thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
if it, I wasn't in that pull somebody down to lift myself up kind of thing. And so
Super
I
not
had
like
enough,
that. Yeah.
yeah. And so you had opportunity, I had opportunities, and so I yeah, I don't know. I didn't really. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't. It was not instilled in us. It wasn't really like taught to us that um, we should help people or hurt people. Let's or it wasn't anything. It was just kind of
Even
the
church, it's
standard.
not like love your neighbor was like such a big thing growing up in the Pentecostal church. It was
Yeah.
more like don't go to hell, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There was a little
yeah,
bit. There's a little
yeah, it was
fire and
more
brimstone.
intense. Yeah, fire
Yeah.
and
A little
brimstone.
fire and
So
brimstone. A little fire and brimstone. Yeah.
I
So
wonder
yeah,
where
you're right.
that
I don't
comes
know.
from. Yeah, okay. Because I don't know either. So like but I do notice that that's kind of one area that you and I touch a lot in regard to the way that teachers viewed me, like, oh, just like your brother, very opening, very welcoming. And I always wondered, not always, I just thinking about it now, I wonder where that came from. But yeah, I still want to know more though about this blackness because it's very selfish of me because I've reflected on this a lot in my own experience. Like, are you walking around the hallways of Heritage a black guy? Because from my perspective, you weren't. And you definitely weren't thinking I want to be white at all, from my perspective. But like, like, I guess we have to have an identity. Like, what is that identity that you had, you know?
Yeah, I think in that the identity I had was I was aware of the cliques and I was just cool with everybody. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was because I was black or whatever, but I was aware that I was still often the only black kid in the classroom.
Okay.
But
I
unlike
don't think I was aware of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I definitely had that awareness that I was the only black kid in there, and so maybe that allowed me to pass through because I ended up winning homecoming, and so as but I was just everybody knew me and I was cool with everybody, and so whether it was I was aware of the cliques, but whether it was the jocks, the preps, the nerds, the stoners, like I was just I mean, there were stoners, yeah, but I mean,
Yep.
I was cool. I was cool with everybody, and so those little cliques, and then there were some goth kind of emo kids that were I didn't know what emo was, but there was a goth kind of emo presence coming along, and they would be very defensive, and I'm like, oh, what are y'all doing? And it wouldn't be like Dungeons and
That's
Dragons, but something
so
similar to that,
crazy.
and I would
Mm-hmm.
just be curious about it, and then they realized like, oh, he's genuinely interested in what we're doing. He's not trying to make fun of us, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, like I don't understand it, but tell me about it. Like you seem to like it, and I think that I still carry that curiosity with me. Is like I just wanted whatever you're into, is not hurting anybody. Like tell me why you have this passion and interest in this thing,
It's
and that
like word for word to my feelings, how I felt in high school, how I viewed people too. And like to this day, people in some of those like fringe groups, like a goth or something like that, still say like, "Hey, you were like always cool to me in high school and made me like feel welcomed." And I'll always appreciate that. You didn't like pick on us, you even protected us sometimes. And um, I don't know why I did that either, but uh the curiosity you talk about is a big reason why I wanted to start the podcast is that I want to know people on the fringe side or people in the clicky groups. I want to know how life has been and how does Saginaw affect their life walk and things like that, because it's a very interesting place, you know. I mean, everywhere probably feels unique, but to me, Saginaw really seems unique because of the dynamics. Maybe the auto industry, maybe a lot of those elements. One person said it's because we're downriver from Dow Chemical, so maybe there's something in the water.
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
right.
again, right? If we, yeah, no, 100%. You know, and I think it is. There's some macro and micro elements because, yeah, if we
Mm.
bring, I did not care for Midland Dow uh, you know, the high school, and you know, we were rivals in sport, but um, you know, in high school, as we're talking about high school, like you know, the Tri Cities, like there wasn't really a bond. The Tri Cities were very separate, and yeah, if you were from that Midland area, like you were assumed upper class, and then the kids would let you know, like, oh, my mom or dad works at Dow, and then that automatically puts you on this upper threshold. And I'm like, but you're not. You know, I wasn't going to be like, nah, you're not better than me in terms of the sport. Like, I'm still going to beat you in this activity, in the sport. Like,
Hmm.
I don't care where you're from. That's not going to help you on the soccer field or on the basketball
Yeah, the
court.
line was
So,
drawn sometimes outside of
right,
heritage. Once you start
right,
dealing with like other schools, it's like, okay, I
right,
don't know you yet. You need to come correct before like I'm
right,
curious about you or friendly with
right,
you.
right. And then hanging out in those towns like Midland, and they, you know, it shuts down at 10 o'clock. It was like, no,
Mm,
your town is boring because it shuts down early. And
that's
so,
so shocking. As much as me and Stu traveled the world, which is just the Tri-Cities, we never hung out in Midland. That is
right, because
so
it was
interesting. We were in
right,
Bay City a lot, and obviously Saginaw. We didn't go as far as Flint, too far, but we never hung out in Midland. It felt like not safe for some reason. I don't know why. And we weren't friends with those guys, as you said. Yeah. I became friends
right.
with some of them later on, but those were definitely our biggest rivals. Okay.